podcast you listen, check out my new Raiders hat, dude. Think of that thing.
Is that the new logo?
No, but it's a new hat. I got the Raiders store in Vegas. So it is popular with the crowd. So
Yeah, we'll
anyway,
have to do a show on that. You have Luke Getzey, our former offensive coordinator. Feel bad for you.
they always try to find a way to screw up the Raiders. I tell you that. So anyways, I was talking to you yesterday and I wanted to discuss as we came back to our inaugural reunion show that we're doing behind you. You have a TV show series I just watched called Micro Wrestling. Now, the Micro Wrestlers have been in Flagstaff. They've been in Williams. They've been in Kingman. They've been in Lake Havasu. They tour around the country. They also have another group that they compete with called Dwarfinators. So I don't know the political term for micro wrestling and little person wrestling or whatever you want to call it, but this show got picked up by Discovery, the Discovery Channel, which is a channel that nobody watches. So it's kind of.
I think they did refer to him. We put the post before we're recording this, our time, whenever this drops. I did put a post that did have a kind of mini no pun intended, mini documentary on it. It was about 8 minutes long. And they did refer to themselves as dwarves. I think
mini documentary.
It's like you calling us minis. So yeah, I think they referred to themselves as dwarves in there.
Well,
I mean, we don't want to be canceled. So whatever you want to be called, you just tell us.
We don't care because we don't have. I mean, we've been.
No, there's nothing to cancel since we come and go as we please.
We've been off the air for months, and no one's been calling us and saying, "Where you guys been?" So
like a year. I'll get a few messages once in a while.
Has it been a year?
You guys, this feels like a year. If it's not, feels like it.
All right.
Well, you guys just record shows whenever you want.
It's pretty much. So, anyways, I looked up microwrestling.com.
Are we gonna get banned for this one?
I don't know. And this is them. And this I'm gonna say they're pretty good. This guy right here, Psycho, pretty serious. That guy slamming him. I think his name's Turbo or Hot Shot. The guy falling out of the ring is the Giant.
That's a whole lot of blubber there.
Well, in the show, he had to lose weight in order to be a part of the micro wrestling business. So
was that a reality?
He was pretty heavy.
Show.
He was pretty heavy. So that guy right there is the guy who's kind of like the Triple H of the group. So if we go to their website, let's just see if they have their wrestlers in here. This is the guy who mainly is the most main character of the show, Psycho. The dude's pretty cool. He looks psycho. He doesn't have a white eye. It's contact lens, just for people out there listening. But he's a good character in this show. When he's not dressed up in his psycho outfit, he's dressed up like a lollipop kid from The Wizard of Oz. He wears knickerbockers, pants with little long socks. He wears a little derby hat. I mean, it just fits the character of some small. It's just, I don't know why, but he's a really decent wrestler. And in this series, he's trying to become what they call Micro One, which is a group. Is a group that they travel.
Can't stop looking at his upside down cross. Get off this page.
Which part? It's all over.
It's all over his tights. So it's like,
so he's part of the micro. He's part of Micro 2, and what Micro 2 is the group that wrestles at the home base, which is in Tennessee.
Okay.
He's married.
So he's in the home. He's in the home. Basically, their home base in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
So the show, the show focuses around this guy. I don't know if he's in here or not, but this guy who runs the whole thing, who's a full-grown person, Yeah. Now I ask you, how did you get into to little person wrestling? I don't know.
Well, it's actually that little mini talk. I'm going to keep laughing every time I say it. The mini documentary. He actually says he used to promote other wrestlers. He used to wrestle apparently himself. I don't know if he was any good because I'd never heard of him, but and then he promoted that. But then I guess
He got it.
there was
He found
there was one guy that was running it that didn't want to basically go all in or travel around the country, and this guy basically he wanted to do a traveling show, and then I guess he wanted to make these people happy by giving him a home base show, and I think
people.
that's what he does.
So back to Psycho. Psycho is married, or is it Psycho? Did we say Psycho? We did, right?
Psycho is married to this girl here.
He's married to Pinky, and they have a kid. So most of the show is focused around Pinky and Psycho.
Is the kid a dwarf as well? Do we know that?
No, they're gonna be a full. It's gonna mess them up. They're gonna have to like try to discipline a full grown person.
So he'll be able to wrestle with them for up until a certain point,
but
then he'll become too big, and then it's a she.
It's a she,
and then she'll actually have to become a WWE superstar then at some point.
So the show is mainly around these two, these Psycho and Pinky. Psycho's trying really hard to become part of Micro 1. Pinky and Psycho right now are in Micro 2, which they wrestle the house shows. They actually wrestle each other. And she's really athletic. She's really good. She gets upset. It's like the whole storyline. She gets upset that he's trying to go to a site that he wants to be part of Micro 1. And she's like, "What are you doing? You're breaking us up." And it turned into like a big old drama. But anyways, she's pretty good.
So is this is a reality quote unquote show? Like they're trying to make you believe that they are against one another? Like, are they trying to make you believe that Psycho and Pinky are not on the same page, or is she saying, I really don't want him on the road? What's the deal?
Well, part of it's like she's not wanting him on the road. She wants him around with the kid. He wants to be a wrestler, so thinks this is where he needs to be with these other guys, which we'll get to. And then he's but they really like Psycho has a huge following on social media. And that's another thing that kind of drives this guy who runs that this person gets a lot of followers, but he's not part of the main circuit that travels around and wrestles. So
he's not really doing it a service because people probably want to see him on the traveling show, but they can only see him if they go to Pigeon Forge,
and
right?
Right now, they're probably right now. Well, he towards the end of the show, he got on Micro 1. The whole thing was they're building up to this Micro Fest, which was like their WrestleMania they were going to do. And so the show kind of builds up to that whole thing. Obviously there's going to probably be a season 2. And the other person that they focus on is this dude, Ivar. Now, this reminds me of
not to be confused with WWE Universe superstar Viking Ivar.
Well,
he was probably Ivar first.
This dude reminds me of MC. He's a mini MC. So
he is a master of ceremonies technically too. He's trying to leech my gimmick.
So he is. He's the guy who does all the voice. He's the announcer at the event. He can't.
And he drives around on a green machine.
Remember those when we were a kid? He drives around in a small little cart. He can't move. He has brittle bone disease. So if anything happened to him, he could. So during this, he decides that
that's scary.
His dream is to wrestle in the ring.
Yeah.
So he wrestles and he gets hurt like right away because he's got brittle bone disease, and he like tries to kick somebody and he's like, "Oh, my knee!" And then like fell down, and it's like they build up this huge buildup, like, "Oh my god, this is gonna hurt. He shouldn't have been in there." Everybody's acting all overreacting.
What's the storyline? That he just gets beat the hell down and then he gets stretchered out, or what?
No, he comes in for like these two dudes are wrestling. He comes in, says he wants to wrestle. The guy picks a fight with him outside the ring. He gets in. He does a few little crawl around because he can't really walk. So he crawls around the ground real fast, and it's creepy when you see it. And I'll show you if I can pull it up. But when he's crawling, it's creepy as shit. It looks weird. But then he kicks him, and then the other guy pins him, and it's just big storyline. But anyways, he has a full-size wife, and she's she's big too. And during this, he references like we're going to get hot tub time and stuff. It's really disturbing. But anyways, Ivar is kind of like the guy.
Why is it? Why? You see, because
he's like
that you are picturing
he's like
full size and little person sex. What is going on?
Yeah, he's like the size of her foot. So this person I've seen before. She's a comedian. She doesn't wrestle. She just does comedy during their events sometimes. They didn't show any of her comedy. That's it. That's why I don't know.
What if she's wearing all black? Could you imagine her doing comedy? Just a floating head on stage.
Big microphone.
It's just a microphone with a floating head and their floating little person head doing comedy.
Welcome, Wendy. Cheer you up, make you have a bad day. Her head is very big compared.
Yeah, well, that's what just made me think. Like, what if her? What if it's just just a floating head?
Yeah, it's a large head. So, anyways, she's
got a real size head, and the rest of her body is a little person.
So, anyways, all right. Make sure does this sound okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now we're going back to. Hold on. All right, now we're going back to. I don't know who. Oh, Michael Jackson. So this person never wrestled.
Michael Jackson
never wrestled. Didn't wrestle at all during the show, but does a lot of refereeing. So I don't know what his character is.
You see on the bottom there, you can book a cameo from him.
But he's got huge hands. Like his freaking hands are gigantic compared to his body. So,
I'm noticing a running theme here with all these characters.
Well, let's go to the other members. Now,
this man is known as Little Hogan, and his foot is gigantic. So when he gives someone a big boot, it's like getting hit from the real Hulk Hogan.
So I wonder why they don't have. Oh, this is to contact them. Where's their roster? They don't have a roster.
Is this the traveling roster, or is this? There it is. Most of them there.
So okay, so the Native American guy.
They got all the stereotypes there. They got the Native American guy, and
we didn't see. But you only saw maybe a handful of these people. I'm just trying to find out where the roster is. I think they're coming back to Arizona.
Did you ever try to contact them and say I can book you the Orpheum?
I did, and it was.
What did they say?
So you have two deals. There he is. This guy's the main guy in this thing too.
He's one of the
him and Hot Rod. Kind of he's the guy that they claim is the dude who's the main, like he's the most experienced wrestler, is what they say.
Yeah.
I don't. He doesn't.
He's the guy you would see on a traveling show, though, right?
Yeah, and he doesn't.
Okay.
And he talks a huge game, and it's kind of funny because he's not very big.
Yeah,
and he kind of wobbles. But anyways, these two dudes at the bottom, Jamaica Joe and this Elvis Presley guy, you saw them towards the end of the show.
Jamaica Joe,
the guy that they kept highlighting who got hurt in one of the matches was Hot Rod, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see him in here, but he wrestles Little Show a lot, and he's a good. Let's see if he's right here. You see him in the video. He's
okay.
He's the most. He's getting headlocked right now. He's the most talented, probably the most talented wrestler of the group.
Yeah,
he can do like there he is backflipping, dude. He can do a lot of shit.
That was Jamaica Joe. That's what you're saying.
His name's Hot Rod.
Oh, that's Hot Rod. Okay.
So the big guy they threw out, he used to be like they have like guys who do merch and they set up the ring and they do stuff like the guys who aren't on the roster.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that they brought in that big dude and they call them the Giant. And he's not as big as the Native American wrestler, but they made him like lose weight in order. He weighs 380 pounds. He's like
what?
Foot. Yeah.
Jeez.
He's huge.
Just rolls to the ring.
Well, pretty much he can barely walk. Like
how could you?
Part of it was talking about his roommate, talking about how he needs to wash between his fat rolls and he needs to do a better job keeping himself. I mean, again, we get into this whole storyline minus the wrestling, which is mostly focused on the wrestling. And then they finally go on a road show. The part about the road show that I've never seen this show live is the people tend to pick them up and like treat them like little kids, like after the show when they do a meet and greets and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck around with those people.
Well, they kind of let it happen because they get money out of it, shit, right? But it is kind of something that's just
autograph $10, picture $20. If you want to hold me up like a little child, $50.
Pretty much. That's what I mean. That's what it looked like. They were carrying him around and shit, and I was just like,
I will impersonate your kid for the weekend for $375. They just pimp themselves out.
So anyways,
this is why I want to ask you. So if your venue, I don't even know if we can say your venue or whatever, but if the Flagstaff venue you normally book for comedy would be okay with it, you would book these guys in a heartbeat, right?
So the reason they didn't originally want to book them is because before they changed themselves to micro, I'm pretty sure they called themselves midget wrestling or something. So the owner didn't like that term and thought it would get in trouble for having it, even though that's their federation. And now it's micro wrestling, and I think it would be that's what they call their federation. It's what they do.
Yeah.
And so
what would he have been more happy with? Dwarf wrestling?
He just doesn't want. I think he looks at it like it. I don't know.
They're making fun of the little people, probably.
But I don't know. Like I said, I told
you
they're
doing it. They're the ones booking themselves.
I told you the whole setup too. Like the show itself just seemed kind of. It seemed kind of like it's they're going around, they're wrestling, and they have a group. And again, he's talking about how he gives them a stage to perform on. These individuals do want to do this wrestling. They do want to be a part of it. So for me, it's like it's a show, right? And they go around and they actually do have a show, and people pack it out. Like in here in Flagstaff, they do it mainly at bars. Because I think the stage is only, I think the ring itself is only like 6 foot by 6 foot.
That's what I was going to ask you. The size of the ring obviously has to be adjusted to them, but 6 by 6 seems really small.
Maybe
it's not that small.
Maybe 8 by 8. I don't know.
Yeah, not the WCW one, which like a WWE full size one, I think is 20 by 20. WCW had 16 by 16, so maybe they're 10 by 10, maybe. It'd have to at least be. It looks bigger than I thought too, because we've seen some tiny ones we've seen some small ones from people we've seen, not real, professional wrestlers we've seen in Flagstaff that were wrestling in some. So looks smaller than that, and these were kids doing it,
Kids were wrestling. They had a child wrestling federation.
Well, I don't even want to give them publicity. That's why I won't say their name. I thought they were wrestling in something that looked very. See, this looks like a pro ring.
Okay, well here's the.
Just for their size, obviously, it couldn't.
What do you mean?
Like the ring they're in. Like if you look at even a picture behind me, the ropes are still higher.
Well, look it up.
They would be.
Look it up. Look it up to see what size a ring is.
Nah, I can't without probably losing me on. Just the screen starts going. What's happening?
Do I need to have whatever you said? All right, here's the
He's 4 feet 4 inches tall. He weighs in 103 pounds of absolute madness. Clap your hands for.
There's the.
Okay, this is
the ending of the series. So Psycho's good.
Pinky shortcake.
So they're in pretty good shape, him and his wife.
Yeah, there's this kid.
Psycho presenting a gift.
There's Ivan in the background. There's Ivan.
There he is.
Take it down.
Or Ivar.
Whatever. So I said, go. They do back to the clothesline.
So I don't know if this is just their whole match. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, after the end of this, he like proposed to her and said, "I love you," and then everybody's like, "Oh."
Well, what's his the guy who runs it? Whatever his last name was, it's hard to pronounce. He says he pays for the apartments for him in Pigeon Forge.
See,
did you watch that?
No, see, that's the thing. You watched something I didn't see. They didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he does. He sets it up like it's an actual federation. You know, it's like,
yeah.
And he treats them like he says it's like his family. So I don't really.
So you watched this on Discovery. You said that is. So this was very similar to the OVW one that was on Netflix, right? In that it seemed like a reality show within kind of.
Maybe.
I mean, it probably hammed up certain things like the husband and wife thing, but it was really supposed to be behind the scenes, so to speak. But it's really still a scripted show, I'm sure. But that's what it sounds like. This was.
Oh, it was totally scripted. It had. I mean, but they tried to build up this thing like that little show was going to fight with the hot rod guy. They were going to fight over the match, and little shows like, you just haven't paid your dues, man. Like trying to make it sound like it's like you're trying to watch some wrestling show and you're like, paid your dues.
You haven't spent enough time here in Pigeon Forge to tell you, say how many wins you get to have if you're going to win this match tonight, son.
Here, you actually, let me do the, let me see if I can, I'll give you the breakdown of what it sounded like. So, where did we see yesterday? Here it is. This is what it sounded like when they were arguing.
Oh. Hold on. All right, you haven't paid your dues, man. So. And then the other guy
we're gonna rename.
The other guy was like,
"Oh yeah, man. So I'm ready, and whenever I'm ready to win the belt, I will."
The Munchkins.
It's like, no, man, you're not ready. I'll let you know when you're ready.
I'm gonna rename this podcast mini podcast. Mini podcast. You listen.
Anyways, I give him credit. It was fun to watch. I didn't know for sure when I first saw it, but right now, my dog is licking my hand right now, and it's bugging me.
Sadie.
Yeah. So maybe it's been a year because she's now over a year old. So
yeah, it has to be. She was a pup when we had one of the last episodes.
Yeah, we started. So stop.
She was licking your microphone,
and now she's about 80 pounds.
Now she's ready to eat the microphone.
She will. She'll eat the microphone. Anyways, what we were searching here? Here's dog. Stop touching me. Here's Ivan. Here's Ivan. Is it Ivar? It's
Ivar. I don't know why he still calls himself Ivar because now there's an Ivar on WWE.
He doesn't care. He's probably got more.
He's probably like, I'm the real Ivar, mother.
He has more fans.
He's got more fans.
There he is. Oh.
With his full size wife.
And my childhood goal was to be a wrestler.
When I first got to Pigeon Forge, I thought this is where we have to be. There's 14 million tourists a year that come here. If this place is good enough for Dolly Parton, it's perfect for the micro wrestlers.
So they have like a shop.
This business
that
is rough. Our bodies were not made to be thrown the way they were.
I have an opportunity to show that I'm just as good as anybody else in this world.
See that, man? That looks.
Being a wrestler,
it's pretty cool.
Life.
It's gotten harder now that I have a daughter.
There's Little Show.
20 years doing this just take a toll on me.
20 years. Where do you think he's been?
Oh, shit.
I believe in my heart that I can do one night in the ring and fulfill my dream.
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you got in there and got hurt.
I stop at nothing.
There he is. I tell you, it looks. That's when he got hurt. He's like,
This is the only job that puts little people on a pedestal. people from all over the world will see what we're about.
Big Little Brawlers. Okay, so that was the name of the show.
Yeah. It was funny though.
Big Little
I
Brawlers.
told the Orpheum guy, I was like, "You missed your chance, man. It could have been filming some of that here at the Orpheum."
What did he say? What did he say?
He didn't say nothing. He's a music dude. Wrestling,
He's like,
wrestling and comedy to him is like, what is this? So it's
oh, so yeah, he just wants music gigs, and you're trying to give him like carnival.
We're giving him variety and giving him variety.
I know it's like a variety show, but like you probably don't see it like that.
Dude, I think it would be
midgets and comedians, clowns.
There's a guy on a unicycle out of nowhere.
You're a clown and a wrestler.
The guy's riding around on a unicycle, just hanging out.
One guy's driving a fucking green machine from when we were kids. Human size or a midget sized green machine.
Oh, jeez.
Midget size. We're gonna be if we were cancelable, we would be canceled. Why you keep calling them midgets? They're dwarves. They're little people. They're micros. They're big little brawlers. They're everything except stop calling them midgets.
Yeah, I had to adjust my microphone. Maybe my microphone was sounding a little staticky, so hopefully it didn't screw up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hopefully it didn't mess it up. Sound softer on my end.
Does it sound softer?
Yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little better.
I did change my microphone edit, so hopefully this comes out okay. Anyways, so what were we looking at? We were looking at the ring size. So I tell you, if you want to watch this, you should maybe tune in to watch big little, what do they call them? Big Little Brawlers.
Big Little Brawlers, I think, is the logo you showed on that clip.
So I think it's it's interesting. All right, we're running out of time, so now we have to look up micro wrestling. What do we say?
Ring size?
Because they fit it inside bars. So,
well, I mean, in theory, it should save money by having a small ring. I mean, obviously, no pun intended here with these descriptions of it, but I mean, how big of a ring do you really need? I mean, if they're half the size of a real professional wrestler, then.
So a regular ring 16 by 16. So
that's a WCW size. A 20 by 20 is what WWE uses, or 18 by 18. I'm not sure if they still use it, but like when I promoted wrestling, when we wrestled in a SWWF, it was a 20 by 20. That was a 20 by 20 foot ring.
So 18 by 18 is a travel ring. 16 by 16 is a travel ring.
In Orlando Studios, for sure, because that was a small ring. WCW used a 16 by 16. So they're probably not wrestling in that. I mean, I'd have to say they could be. I mean, they could be in a 12 by 12. It still looks like it's a pretty big ring.
They don't really,
because that's part of the presentation. The ring, you gain a lot of credibility if they're wrestling in some like mini boxing ring that looks like pillows. It ain't going to be as impressive. When you see a real wrestling ring, it doesn't matter who's in there. That takes people that puts them in the moment. Like, you could have the worst wrestlers in the world, obviously, and it's gonna kill whatever that mystique. But once they go in and see that ring, this Coach JC just leaves. The ring is what draws you into basically the program.
I'm gonna say it's probably a 10 by 10.
It's got to be at least that, I think, if not maybe even 12, but because it looks way bigger than what they need, but it's still impressive because it looks like they're just wrestling in a real huge ring with them in it, which is what WWE used to do. They're not changing the ring for their midget wrestlers when they had, or dwarf wrestlers, whatever, little person wrestlers.
Oh, so when hold on, I gotta beep that out.
Yeah, I know. Every time you say the name that rhymes with widget, we need to bleep it out. So yeah, when WWE had their wrestlers, little wrestlers wrestling. Essentially, they were wrestling in the real ring, like at WrestleMania when they were teaming with Hillbilly Jim versus King Kong Bundy. They didn't change the ring, so they do look like they're in a slightly bigger ring. So for what you would think, so that's going to still be impressive once you see the ring. That's going to draw people like, hey, this is impressive.
It fits in the middle of a bar, though. Or at least I've seen some of these bars they've been at. It's small. So.
And maybe the traveling ring is smaller than the Pigeon Forge one, though. You know, we don't know that either, you know, since they do have to disassemble that and reassemble it for every show they're going across the country, according to that one guy said.
They did.
The one
they travel around and they do outside shows, and here they do venues. They're fairly small bars, and you can see the background of your background. Probably the most people that come to some of these shows, the outdoor shows, see your drink cup, whatever you're drinking, looks like vomit. It's in that cup.
Was that the cup or the microphone?
No, it's to your left.
Yeah.
Full of what are you drinking?
It's a smoothie. It's a homemade smoothie.
Looks like dirt.
Dirt.
I'm gonna have a cup of dirt. So anybody want a cup of dirt? So anyway,
have you ever made a smoothie from a Vitamix? That's not gonna look like Jamba Juice, but
anyway,
close.
So the show is Little Brawlers just ended. I would say if you could see it, make sure you tune in and see. It's on Discovery. You could probably watch reruns of it. I would say the next show, if you watch that show, you need to watch the Ohio State Wrestling show with Al Snow.
Ohio Valley.
Valley. That was
OVW.
That was a good show.
Yeah, it was. Actually, it was entertaining when I started watching it. You only told me to watch it on our probably last show, and you were talking about it, which was probably, if it wasn't a year ago, it was 10 months ago.
A year ago, but when we watched,
but it was close.
It was pretty. The Al Snow part where he's getting prepared to wrestle was pretty dorky.
His wife is giving him a massage.
All of a sudden, they're like, "Let's make this as cheesy as possible," and have Al Snow just doing.
Hey, for whatever he is, was he 60? He was doing those old Iron Sheik, like those I forget what you call them, the Olympic training.
They're like bells.
They're like big paddle bells or something like that. But yeah, he was doing that. I don't know what else. How old Al Snow is? If he's like late 50s or what? I don't think he's like 60 yet.
He's like 58 years old or something.
Yeah, so they wanted to get him, and that one guy was weird. The promoter was a little that kind of
they had the seizure in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, he just like
he started like chomping at the air, and then Al's like,
nobody's calling 911. They're just trying to revive him for 5 minutes before they call 911. Like
everybody's like, get him some water. Get him some water.
Meanwhile, he's dying.
Right now, he's just doing this and then
he's drooling, like, talking to him while he's drooling.
They're rubbing his back. They're like,
yeah, like that's gonna help him. Okay, it's gonna be okay.
Get him some water. Anybody want some water?
We really all don't hate you. Wake up.
None of the wrestlers are talking shit about you except that one guy in the corner.
Everybody loves you. Wake up.
Freaking you're chomping at the whatever the hell he was doing.
I don't know. I thought he was just drooling or something. I mean,
I thought he was fucking around.
I don't even know if that was real. Like,
and then he's like,
it's hard. It's hard on the reality shows to know if they're actually real. Like, they call it reality show, but was the guy really having a seizure? Like, how the hell are we supposed to know?
I don't know. They didn't really pan down to his pants to see if he pissed or something.
It's gonna see this. Why are you making fun of my seizure?
He'd probably sue us. That's what he was doing and all those things. He was what was he, like, lawyer or something?
I don't know what the hell he was. He was like a radio personality, wasn't he? With a lot of money or some. I don't know what the hell he did besides that, because a radio jock can't make that much money to.
Like he did insurance or whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah, maybe he was doing that too. I'd be like you as a comedian, like slash like I'm a comedian, but now I'm gonna start promoting wrestling and putting all my money into that.
I'm doing micro wrestling. I'm gonna be that dude.
My skin.
So you saw this girl was pretty good, right?
Yeah, she was kind of the star of the show, wasn't she? Hollywood.
Kind of sounds like that Ann Ferris girl.
Yeah.
OVW is the little engine that could. You get inside of WWE and AEW.
Now let me ask you: watching
Haley J, I
watch-
think Hollywood
watching
Haley J.
Little
I think.
Brawlers versus watching this, that seems
That's
pretty
what
legit.
is taking place right here. You're not starting one-on-one with
That part I thought was funny when those.
Yeah, the little girl heckling them.
because you get the first glimpse at potential.
She's just yelling at everybody.
Yeah.
Suck, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
thing.
he is right here.
Professional wrestlers.
There he is."
We need
Oh, Snow. There's the promoter.
Okay.
Or that's
my-
the guy who's financially backing him. Al is technically the promoter.
Here's my question: what's that kind of watch is Al Snow wearing? Is that a Power Rangers watch?
I don't know. I mean, that's keeping him alive.
It's not. It's not even. I kept looking at that in the show. I'm like, that doesn't even look like a real watch. I don't know what the hell that kind of what that is.
A lot of times I get told something to do. From
And that too. Yeah, he sounds like this all the time. He sounds. Let's see if I can.
He did a podcast interview and he really sounded gravelly on that one.
He sounds.
Get you.
Talk to me.
Podcast you listen. Thanks for tuning in. And you talk.
Talk to me. This is my name.
Voice doesn't change. It's only me. That's
I
right.
know. Yeah, it's you felt I was trying to do that, but I was I don't think it would. I don't think it touches mine.
Podcast you listen. Check us out. YouTube, whatever the hell we follow us on. I'm not allowed on Netflix on Facebook show.
You've been banned. That's for another show.
All right.
At Me Podcast You List on Twitter or X now it's called since we've last been on the air. Me Podcast You Listen on it.